People are gonna think you're so eloquent.
I know. But really,
like, damn, this dude can fucking talk. And then, like, the editing behind the scenes, 4 hours later.
yeah, I mean, that was the pilot episode. So,
Well, that's what you get for being a boofle.
yeah. Anyway, how are you? How's Uruguay?
Everybody is hot and sweaty. Welcome to Heat Wave 2019.
For real, I finally got AC. I didn't have AC for the longest time, and
So that deserves a slow clap, I think.
Yeah.
You and Devin are now part of the same club.
Oh, I know. It was awful. There was like a day for 110 degrees here, or something like that, and I was just like, "Yep, this is how I die."
I was speaking to somebody from Philly. They were in my car, and they did an impromptu journey to Uruguay, aka San Diego, and to get away from the 125 heat index. And I was like, "Yikes! Did your skin just like boil alive, or like, what do you do in that kind of heat?" And they said, "Well, you hop in a plane and you go to San Diego."
Fair enough. I mean, I would like to just hop in a plane and go to San Diego.
Yeah, who's got disposable income like that? Not this guy.
So for our first topic, I'd like another get to know you segment. And speaking of travel and planes and all of that good stuff, I want to know, what country would you like to visit the most? And then like throw some other like top 3 at me.
So what country I would like to visit next, or like I would most like to visit, or I am visiting next?
You would most like to visit. Like if you could go to any country willingly, like without cost.
Oh, it's gonna be China for sure. Mainland China.
Really? Even after all the riots and stuff and people dying?
I'm all about people dying. People die. No, I'm just kidding.
Right.
I just really am fascinated with China's history as a whole. Like, I'm super enthralled by the Romance of the Three Kingdoms era, and like they have temples dedicated to these warriors that are just humans, and they treat them like gods. And I find that to be really interesting. And the geographical differences in the regions are very, like, you go out to the west and it's all hills and mountains. You go to the south and it's jungles. You go to the east and it's farmlands, and there's like rivers running through, and it's just a really cool place. And I've only gotten to see like mainland China for like 20, because I didn't realize that I was in mainland China anymore, or I wasn't in Hong Kong. I was in mainland, and then I had to turn around. So I would like to get probably like a 2 to 3 week vacation and just kind of bebop around all the different regions and kind of visit the old battlegrounds.
That sounds super historic and stuff. I'm not super into history as much as others. I definitely am going to Japan. That's my numero uno location.
Yeah, I've been there, done that.
Yeah. Good for you, buddy.
Well, as far as travel goes,
Right.
I have the edge on you,
Yeah,
it just happens to be that I got to see a bunch of countries while serving this country.
The only country I've gone to was Colombia.
What were you looking for? Drugs? Like, how do you just
when I was
the most dangerous South American country?
I went when I was like 12.
Oh my gosh. Some parents you have there, buddy. Some parents.
My mom was dating a Colombian, so we went to Colombia.
Oh, well, that seems somewhat safer.
I guess.
By like 2%, I'd say. 2% increase in safety.
Bogota is scary.
I bet. Even as a 12-year-old, I imagine just seeing like the slums and the tenements and...
No, like straight up, there were some people that I could just tell if he wasn't there with us, I would have been actually kidnapped and dead.
They'd harvest you probably, like the whole organs black market deal.
It's actually insane how dangerous some parts of that place are, but we were in like a a little village area where, there weren't many people.
A village hotel place.
Yeah.
So like it was just like a normal village, but it had like Le Grand Hotel, right? So like it had this like tourist trap. Is that what you're saying?
Kind of, yeah. It it
Hmm.
was like these little villas. There were like bunk beds and stuff. We had like a whole group, and they had like this trampoline on the floor. It wasn't like a trampoline like American trampoline. It was like the floor was a trampoline. Um, they had mango trees. They didn't have toilet paper though. I didn't
Banana
know
leaves.
this. Bro, we were only allowed to have one toilet paper roll per room. Our whole stay. It was
Hmm.
yikes.
Just, I'm gonna double down on the banana leaves
Yeah,
comments.
yeah, yeah.
Those are super useful, by the way.
And then after the first country, what are some secondary and third country?
Some other dream destinations, I would say the Maldives. I definitely want to go to the Maldives Islands. That is an amazingly beautiful location. So, like, the first location is all about the history of the place for me and the culture. And this place is just about, like, sipping back, on a hammock in my little cabana with my see-through floor that I can see the fishes go under my hut and, like, all the crazy stuff that millionaires, billionaires get to do. Definitely Maldives is going to be up there. And then number 3, that's a good question. I'm gonna give it back to you for number 2 so I can think about number 3 a little bit more.
Okay. Mine is Sweden. I've always been infatuated with like the aesthetic of Swedish people. How they are all like so effing attractive. I just want to go to a place where literally everybody is more attractive than me. And
So your number 2 is, hi, I'm Shallow.
yes,
Nice to meet you.
exactly.
Wanna bang?
No. Did you not learn anything from episode 1? I just want to go there and experience like cuz they're like Nordic descendants, right? I
Yes.
want to go there for culture of that, how, a tight-knit community of people who are in their own likeness. I've always wanted to experience that, like their culture is so, yes, nationalist tight, I guess. Like, I don't know. It appeals to me to see their own bubbles. And then on top of that, Sweden has that Nordic culture, alcohol, mainly. I've always, because I've had a few things that are imports whenever I've gone to kind of like fancy breweries and stuff. I've had Nordic mead, and that was really, really good. So I've always wanted to try more things, and I don't know. It's just a destination. Have you thought of your third?
I have. I'm going to go with the nation of Ghana.
Anna?
Yeah, you familiar with it?
Don't you live there now?
No, that's episode 4, bro. Come on.
Right.
We have a list. No, Ghana, this is for music. I was a toss-up between Bali and Ghana, but they have like the craziest drums that you'll ever see. Like I took a world music course, and I got exposed to a lot of different things. Like the zither from India, and all kinds of different stuff. But
Yeah.
I really liked the drums, and the way they had these ensembles of like 20 or 30 people banging on drums and like drums and bass. I mean, why not? Seemed like a great place. And it would just be a cool place to go in Africa. It's like on the southwest corner, kind of next to like Ivory Coast and all those guys, all those tiny little countries that are on like that lower left hand side of Africa. So that would probably be my the third in line for
Gotcha.
sure. I like the musics.
Neat. I've actually never heard of that. So you did me an educate.
Yeah, my pleasure,
My third is Germany.
Ooh.
Yeah.
We can go visit my mom. We'll make a duo trip out of it.
For sure. My heritage is driven. I've always my heritage came from, I guess. As well, I want to go to for like a completely unconventional reason that most tourists don't go for, and that's snowboarding. I
Oh
really,
yeah.
really love snowboarding. I'm not like the best snowboarder. I'm from Florida, but I
What do you
actually,
mean you're not good?
well,
They
I'm
surf snowboards all the same.
I'm the best Floridian snowboarder. That's for sure.
All right, checking the Google. I'm gonna stat check this. Jack, can you get on this, please?
Yeah,
Stat check.
Jack. Yeah, Jack. You dumb bitch. Yeah, so I want to go snowboarding as well. Surprisingly, positive response to cosplay and gaming, which I was really surprised to learn. But when I was really heavily invested in building up my clothing brand, I was looking for influencers. Makes
What was
sense.
that clothing brand of yours? You want a shameless plug?
Yeah, shameless plug. If you're a big ol' weeb and you like girls sticking their tongues out and such, you can go to darkmatterclothing.net and buy a hoodie, a butt plug. Yeah. Hi,
Yeah, the
mom.
butt plug may take a while to get to you, and it may or may not be used. So,
Don't say that, asshole. Oh my god.
Germany's super cool though, and one of the things that, like you mentioned, a lot of people don't realize is they have an esports scene, and we obviously know because we're big
Yep.
League of Legends fans. But I'm trying to get my mom when I go to visit her to like coordinate it with like the spring split
Yeah.
like playoff push
That would be
because
so
I'm
cool.
planning on going next year, and I'm just gonna be like, Mom, we should go to Berlin for like a couple days, you know. And then I'm like, oh, I heard that there's this super cool cafe. And then I'll just take her to the LEC
Oh
studio
my
and be
god.
like, the GPS, blah, blah, blah,
Right.
yada, yada, umpty squat.
Whoops.
Sorry, foreign country. Oh, since we're here, let's watch a game.
Right. It's so interesting. I got my dad like semi into esports. I introduced esports to him a really really long time ago, and then he started seeing it on ESPN. He's bought me like Cloud9 merch, so it's kind of like surreal to have a parent who knows about that whole thing. Man, but yeah, back to the topic of like travel. Recently, I heard some debacle between SpaceX and NASA, and Elon Musk says that he's gonna get to the moon in 2020 or something. Don't directly quote me. Please don't roast me if that's wrong. I was at work and I read it, I think. But
Yeah, he does his launches in California, so we see them all the time on these SpaceX launches.
uh-huh.
But I'm pretty sure the last one, like he was testing like a rocket booster, and it didn't leave the pad.
Yeah.
So I don't imagine that's a really great press for him. You know, when your rocket fails, you know, the thing that's going to get you to the moon, quote unquote.
Well, it's better he fails now than have another Apollo 11 or
Challenger. But yeah, sure did. That's the movie's about, dude. Oh no, it's 13th.
yeah.
JK. No, yeah, 11's the moon landing.
But let's say, everything considered, in the near future, space travel becomes a luxury item for rich people, and then eventually, let's say in our lifetime, a hypothetical, let's say that space travel and like space cruises are a thing.
Like sightseeing cruise. Not
Yeah,
like colonization, but like let's
yeah,
go cruise the stars and check out that
yeah. So like,
asteroid.
just like a normal cruise to the Bahamas or whatever, we have space cruises now.
Is it a booze cruise? Is it a space
Absolutely.
booze cruise?
Yes.
All right, sign me up for this. I'm already liking where this is going.
Me too. Uh, what do you think it's plausible?
Uh, Not based upon the speeds at which we can go now, or I expect us to go during our lifetime.
Okay, okay. Why do you say that? Why don't you think it'll be like commercially viable?
I just don't foresee us because, like, most of the things we're going to be looking for or looking at, we're going to need telescopes for, like, on Earth, right? So let's just assume that we can go 10 times faster than what we can go now. That's probably a pretty safe bet. We would still only be in our solar system, so like I don't imagine that we're gonna get very many sights. But then again, just going to the planets themselves and seeing them in person instead of in a book, or a photo that was sent back by a satellite or an orbiter or whatever,
Right.
that has its own appeal. And I think that the fiscally elite and Scientologists will really like going on things like that, sponsored by Virgin America.
Just going to space, period. I don't care if it's like 4 inches from our orbit. Would be amazing. It would be such a surreal experience to be like in a space yacht and just see our own planet from that high up. And you like bring all of your flat Earth friends. Look, you dumb bitch! It's
I can't believe people still exist that abide by that theory.
Me too. It's like they've never been on a plane before. I'm just like, why are you like this? Anyway,
A lot of astronauts say that the first time they go up, it like changes their whole perception on the size, like their insignificance in the grand scheme of things, because they get to see this giant, massive ball of metal and gas.
right. The reason I brought this up, I've been watching this anime, and for those of you who know me, I am super big into anime, music, and video games. Love them, can't get enough of them. But there's this anime that takes place in space, and it's not a mech anime. And I flipped my lid. I was like, no way.
You're a liar.
I
No
know.
such anime exists.
I was like, there's no way they finally made a goddamn space anime with no flying giant robots. And they did. And so the premise is
Is it called Cowboy Bebop?
Alright. Besides Cowboy Bebop.
Oh, damn. I thought I got it.
No, it's called Kanata no Astra, I think. And basically it takes place in a time where space travel is commercially viable, and this high school sponsors basically a camp for the students, and it's their first space travel thing. And I don't want to spoil anything. It's a really good anime. Like, it makes you feel space. Like, it makes you feel what space is like in the very first episode. Like, wow, that feels lonely. But I would highly recommend it to anybody. And while I'm at it, I'm going to recommend music as well. I have a pick for today that I just found called Coletta. That's Coletta, and they're kind of like really experimental post-hardcore band. And this honestly sounds like Dance Gavin Dance, but with mumble rap synths and stuff. It's super trippy and weird. I highly recommend the song The Bee's Knees.
Well, just by name alone, you must listen.
Oh, I agree. I don't think they're...
You said it had mumble rap synths.
Yeah. So
that sounds like a turn off to me personally, because I hate mumble rap.
Right.
And
I hate mumble rap too, but they usually have really catchy hooks, right? That's the whole premise.
Occasionally catchy hook, if you can discern exactly what they're saying.
Yeah, well, they're singing and screaming. They're not mumble rapping.
Yeah, they're hardcore.
But but the vibe I get is kind of like a lo-fi synthwave kind of thing mixed with Dance Gavin Dance, and it's a really cool combination. I would recommend. Do you want to give out a recommendation for me?
Not particularly, no. The stuff that I listen to is aged, like really old stuff. So
Fine.
I don't think people want to listen to 1930s jazz. So I'm just gonna say no.
But fine. Keep all your music to yourself, you goddamn
Yeah,
music goblin.
I'm hoarding it, dude.
um,
It's my music. Get your own music.
get your own goddamn music. In light of the pilot episode, we talked about a quirk of mine that was kind of odd, and I have another one that I'd like
As
to.
if not everything about you is odd. Just this one particular quirk.
I mean, fair enough. That's why it's third-rate therapy. Asterisk for Blake. Anyway, I have this other quirk about me, and it's that I don't like to be touched by people I don't know. This can range from anything from a handshake, being bumped, being hugged, or whatever it may be. I'm not into being touched, and I have like this in my brain whenever somebody's like, "Hey, nice to meet you," extends hand for handshake. I'm like, I don't know where your goddamn hand has been. Please don't make me shake your hand. It's
Yeah, that's
weird,
definitely socially awkward. You're supposed to assume that the person like
is
sanitizes themselves and
hygienic, but
yeah.
man, I guess it's just from being so rooted in the like cosplay and gaming community that there's been a lot of dirty, disgusting, foul, smelly guys that I've seen. And I just
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the stereotype, and it usually holds true more often than not.
yeah, it really does. I mean, and I guess that really is the start of it. Well, not really, because I've always been like, because I don't like when people chew loudly and stuff. Anything that's like
Gross
gross
levels.
makes me feel uncomfortable. And I've seen, alright, this this is personal. I don't think he'll ever see the podcast, so it's fine. There was this kid in middle school that I was friends with. Like, we were actually pretty good friends, but he was a really big boy. He was a really big boy. So he would eat, and he would like get into it, man. Like, I've never seen somebody so infatuated. And he would like dip his fingers in ketchup and then lick them and then not wash his hands and stuff. And I was just so appalled at the time. And this is in middle school. I was just like, oh no. And I didn't want to be rude and be like, bro, that's disgusting.
Maybe you should have. You needed the intervention in middle school for this
oh
poor
my
kid.
god, dude, it was so gross, and it's always stuck with me. And I don't want to shake people's hands anymore.
Because of ketchup finger, fat man, or fat boy.
Listen, I'm scarred for life. Send help. Please send help, sir. I can't shake people's
Yeah, that's
hands.
pretty special. Like I can see doing it like one time, but this sounds like a regular thing.
Oh yeah, dude. Every lunch period, I would be like, "Bro, please sit at another table. I can't." And it's why I don't like the chewing sounds, and it's why I don't general being touched. And he usually smelled like fish, which didn't help.
You sure it wasn't never mind.
Yeah.
I'll just leave that one out there for everyone to fill in the blanks. But you didn't just carry like those sanitizer wipes and like so that you can wipe them down or like here, bro. It looks like you need this.
Not his mom.
Well, I don't even want to get into that. I was gonna start with my very first instant reaction in my head. Well, where was his mom and dad during his formative years? But maybe he didn't.
Yeah, I didn't
them,
know.
So.
I didn't know his living arrangements or anything. But yeah.
But sometimes you had to step up to the plate and just be the big middle schooler and tell him and intervene in his life and maybe save his life.
He seemed better in high school. Good on him. Lost some weight.
Maybe he took a look in the mirror, like that song by Michael Jackson.
He Yeah. The one that diddled kids. Yes.
Yeah, this is before that. You know, when he actually put out good music.
I agree. Anyway, I digress.
You did. We
Yeah.
did.
Yep, that one. That's the move. Right there.
I mean,
That's what people come to this podcast for.
well, whenever conversations happen, you're bound to digress. It's all about getting back to the original point, which was you're grossed out by physical contact from people. So you told a little story about it. Now we're have a better idea of why that might be, because the handshaking thing at first, that's like pretty abnormal. The rest of the stuff, like when people bump into you, like almost everybody isn't like, oh gee, great, I just got bumped into somebody
Right.
on the bus, this is fantastic. Nobody does that, right? But almost everybody is comfortable shaking another person's hand, unless that person is just like physically disgusting to look at. The
Right.
typical gamer guy that we talked about, dandruff all over the shoulders, oily skin, smells like he hasn't showered in a week, there's pieces of lunch in his like crappy, comic book mustache, those kinds of things. Like if he's physically, you can see disheveled,
Right.
I'm definitely on board with you. Other than that, like if they're clean cut and
I mean,
they're in like slacks, and I have no problem shaking people's hands, but I do that all the time. I meet people all the time in a professional setting. So
I do too, and I
kind of
will
mandatory to shake.
I will shake their hand. It's not like I not like.
Is it a firm handshake, or is it like the, oh my god, I
bro,
have to touch this person's hand?
I give the best firm handshake you've ever seen in your life, but that doesn't mean I enjoyed it. Okay.
I wasn't sure if like your bot, my mind's telling me no.
My mind's telling me no, but my body. No.
His body.
Yeah, no, I don't enjoy it, but that's the thing. It's all mental. I don't ever wear it on my. I don't make a scene of it. I don't make it comfortable because of it. I will, however, vent to my friends who know that I don't like touching people.
Do you ever come up to these people afterwards and be like, I need to tell you something?
No.
You never.
That's so
you never
dumb.
broached the subject with them?
Oh, why? It's just a thing that I thought would throw it out there into the universe. That's all.
It's because of your scarred for life.
The last topic that I want to cover for this Third Rate Therapy podcast is a somber topic, a very, very depressing topic. So if you don't want to be bummed out, I suggest you peace out early. I love you.
Alright, love you too, Blake. Bye.
No, you have to endure this, unfortunately.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't sign up for this.
Yeah, unfortunately. So, I was talking about anime earlier, and one of my favorite anime studios was burned to the ground by what I'm assuming is a crazy fan, which is the biggest tragedy in Japan. It's the atom bomb. 37 people died, which were all animators, and it's super sad.
Did you read that in an article, The Biggest Tragedy? Because a lot of people died during the tidal waves that hit Japan a couple years ago.
Biggest man-made tragedy.
Ah.
Yeah.
I missed that part.
Biggest. Well, I didn't say it, but insinuate.
Right, definitely.
Yeah. So nothing of this scale has happened with humans hurting other humans in Japan, and it's just so sad. They lost everything. They lost all of their physical and digital work. So they have literally nothing. 37 people died. I don't know if they can continue the company. I'm not sure if you know about animation studios, but they were like benchmark for really good animation. They made the really popular movie about the deaf girl, Silent Voice. They made the Fate series.
I really like Fate.
They made so many good, glorious animations. They made Violet Evergarden, which was hailed as best looking anime of all time. And it sucks so heavily that someone can end the lives of so many talented artists. So crazy to me. I don't know. I just wanted to kind of like give a mention and some positive feelings. I hope everybody who was affected by their deaths is okay.
Yes, that definitely goes without saying that, we wish the best for those who lost members of their family. But this is, a lot of people are going to look at this and be like, oh, an anime studio lost a bunch of work. But, let's put this into other parallels, right? Let's say a sculptor loses 10 sculptures that he's been working on for 15 years in an earthquake. You don't get that back. You don't get that time investment. You don't get that back. A painter, his entire collection that he was going to publish, in this next art exhibit next week, burns to the ground. You don't get to recreate that. That just doesn't happen. Like even if that painter was to come back through and try to recreate the paintings, they would lose their magic, their touch, whatever it was that made that particular thing beautiful in its original form. So, especially when it comes to art or popular art, like recreating things like this or trying to recapture what you had before is next to impossible. So the amount of time lost and as well as the loss of life is it's astronomical. You can't put a value on what occurred in this particular event.
Yeah.
That's the part that struck me when you mentioned it to me the other day. I was just like, damn, that is an incredible loss. Yeah. Both in human life and in work. These people, this is their passion. They poured their heart and soul into it, and all they have nothing to show for it except what's already been published, right? Those records will live on, but anything that they were working on, anything they wanted to show the fans, that have been dedicated to following their careers in the studio, unfortunately, those fulfillments are going to be left forever unfulfilled. Super depressing, as you mentioned.
Yeah, definitely. And it's crazy how far the reach is. Everybody in the anime community affected by this. And that in Western culture, anime has become popularized and been brought to the forefront, and it's crazy how many people were affected by this. I know I actually cried when it happened, and I watched a video by Giguk, who's a really popular YouTuber, anime YouTuber, and it just brought me to tears. He really got across the importance of this event and how much their work touched a lot of people.
The personal effect that the work had upon him.
Yeah, I don't think anybody can say enough words to make anybody feel better, and it's kind of cool to see, the community that I'm a part of, the anime community, so together, they're all buying works that go directly to the animation studio and donating. I hope that they can recover, that everybody affected by it is okay.
Find a way to move on.
Yeah, for sure. And I didn't want to necessarily save this for last, but it was important.
Yeah, it's definitely something that it holds a weight over you when you talk about a loss of this proportion. It's just like when people talk about, I want to compare some other big atrocities. I'm not saying that they're equivalent, but just the feeling that it creates, the Holocaust, 9/11, like the atom bombs, like you mentioned, the death camps, and Pol Pot, and like all these atrocities, throughout human history. When people talk about them, it creates like this sinking feeling in your gut, like,
right,
why is this occurring? Why do we do this to ourselves? How have we not learned, up to this point, not to repeat the same mistakes, or to get this person help, whoever did this,
right.
See the signs coming and be able to save lives. And
I have some
really depressing.
I have some advice for people who may take anime a little seriously, who don't, socialize that much. In Japan, they're called otaku. And it kind of has a negative connotation. If you're closed off, if you're walled off, and the only thing that brings you joy is anime, you really do need to seek other avenues. Like, you honestly need to take it upon yourself to find other happiness. You can't rely on any one thing for your happiness. So please go outside, seek professional help, or, socialize. And I know it might be hard. You might be weird. I mean, I'm weird. But I promise going outside, talking to people, and making friends will help you. I hope that you don't end up on either end of this tragedy.
I just wanted to add one more thing to what Blake had just said. And finding friendship can be really difficult, but what brings friends together is a common ground. So you can take something that you already love, like anime. So we're talking about otakus right now. You can take that and you can find friends. And maybe your friends will introduce you to new things that you like, right? If they like anime, they probably have good taste, right? That's what you're thinking in your head. So maybe if they introduce you to something, you'll be a little more open to it because you know you already share common ground with that person. And that's actually how a lot of relationships are formed, is by people coming together over one common thing and then learning about other things together. So that can make it a little bit easier. I know it's really difficult to put yourself out there, but if you already have something in common, it's so much easier and so much safer for you. So I just wanted to add that.
And that pretty much wraps up all my thoughts. And have a good day. And I love you.
I may or may not love you, to be determined.